Last week we invented this filter called the Anaconda to remove big debris before going into our rain barrel system. And I have the barrels now, but I don't want to screw this up. I want the best possible rain collection solution on a budget. One and go. One, two. So what are the keys to creating the perfect rain barrel experience for watering your gardens at home? Let's find out. So stick around. Last week's video turned out to be my most popular video from the release date. So first, thank you to everyone for watching. I love to come up with new ideas and design and build them and share them with all of you. And if the channel grows, it gets easier for me to afford to keep doing this. When we buy a rain barrel from a store, they usually have a mesh screen on the top, a small 1/2-inch spigot near the bottom. And most of these that I've seen people set up end up right at the ground level. And while I think it's better than nothing at all, there are a few reasons why these barrels rarely get used. So the first problem is the access to this. Nobody wants to bend over and use something like this when they're so low to the ground. We also don't have any place to put our watering cans or our buckets. So this loses major points right off the bat. What we really need is a barrel up off of the ground so that we don't need to bend over as much to use them. And at the same time, we solve the problem with being able to get a watering can below it. The second problem is the restriction in flow. I've used barrels like these with the tiny spigots before, and they're just not great for a gravity-fed system. Our barrels are not going to be pressurized. Even worse than that is that the spigots themselves restrict the flow even more thanks to the style that we're using. They have a shaft that goes through and a flat rubber seal typically on the inside. That creates a bottleneck. To solve this, we can make two changes. We can use a ball valve instead, which when fully open does not restrict the flow very much. And then the other change we make is to the pipe size itself. We started with a 1/2-inch pipe, and let's say we move up to 1-inch pipe from there. Well, that would be double the volume allowed through at any moment, right? Well, actually, it is far more than double. It is about 4 times the volume of water that's going to be allowed through there at any moment in time. But it actually gets better than that. Just like with any fluid, the larger the pipe, the less losses from friction. So we should see even less restriction with a larger pipe. In my case, I'm going to be using 1.25-inch pipe, so I think we should see about 6.5 times the volume of water at any moment compared to a 1/2-inch spigot or a 1/2-inch pipe. In the store-bought version I'll be testing today, there is no spigot, but the hole that's coming from the actual rain barrel itself is only about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. So we might actually see 8 or even 10 times faster filling. The third problem is head pressure, and in a gravity-fed system we rely on head pressure, and our pressures are not going to be very high. So for the best results, the important factor here isn't as much the height of the barrels off of the ground as it is the height of the water inside the barrel in relation to where the water is going to be coming out. In the case of the store-bought version, we have a single barrel filled about 3 feet high. The spigot is near the bottom. We'll have a head pressure of only about 1.3 psi. The pressure only gets higher based off of the vertical height of the water above that reference point or above the spigot. So the barrels can be high, and that is good, but if the spigot is also high, we don't get the maximum benefit. So what we need is to try and get the barrel high, the water inside it also high, but then the spigot needs to be as low as possible, as close to the ground as possible. Since it's based off of the height of the water in a 1-barrel setup, the water drains more quickly, which reduces the pressure faster than in a 3-barrel setup or 4-barrel setup. So adding extra barrels also provides the maximum head pressure for longer, allowing us to fill up super quick. And having the barrels up high also allows us to send water using a hose around our yard, still using gravity just as long as the top of the water in the barrels is always higher than wherever you're trying to send it to. And the last problem is how they're actually connected together. Barrels from the store often connect at the top. The first one fills and then it overflows into the next one, and that means they need to be emptied individually, and then we lose the benefits of the slower draining and higher head pressures for longer. So the best method that I've seen is a bottom connected system. With this setup, we can easily connect the barrels together so they fill and empty simultaneously. I'd like to compare our version versus the store-bought. So first, let's test the store-bought version at ground level. This one did not have a spigot, so I had to add my own piece of hose, and I filled it up close to the top. And let's see how long it takes to fill a watering can. In this case, this watering can is about 2 gallons. So it takes about 1 minute and 6 seconds to fill this one up all the way when the barrel is at ground level. So next, let's raise up the barrel and test it on a pedestal, and we'll see how much of a difference that makes. Now the water is going to be leaving much lower than we had originally, so we should see an improvement, and we have a place for the watering can to sit below the barrel as well. And it looks like we're getting around 32 seconds for a fill. A pretty big improvement, but it's still nowhere close to good enough. To get the fastest fill possible, I purchased these food grade barrels. They have removable lids and they were $25 each, but you can probably find them for a lot cheaper than I did. Even though they've already been cleaned, it's still a good idea to re-clean them before you use them to water your gardens. And also make sure they had something non-toxic stored inside them as well. I will find the center of the bottom of the barrel and mark it. I'll drill a hole using a 2-inch or a 51mm hole saw, and the hole can be added on the bottom anywhere or even on the side too. I just think it's a better idea to find a fairly flat spot to drill that hole. The 2-inch hole is for the 1¼ PVC pipe, which is an 1¼ ID. And then I'll clean up those shavings so I don't end up putting them in my garden. I've also deburred the hole to remove any sharp edges on the barrel. I did the exact same thing for the pipe, and I also used a file to deburr the outside of the pipe too. So next, I bought these grommets, which are made by a company called Uniseal, and they are made from acrylene. They are guaranteed not to leak. And they are way easier to use than anything else that I've ever tried. We can insert that grommet, which sits in there nicely, and then we can clean the pipe first, and then spray it with some Windex for lubrication and push the pipe in there. We just need to come out slightly beyond the other side of the grommet. Since this is a test setup, nothing's going to be glued for now. It's all going to be friction fit. I have an elbow, another short length of pipe, and then we have our ball valve as well. I'll add a brace to the pedestal, and then I'm going to be securing the pipe with a strap and then some screws for now, and that way it doesn't move around too much on me. We need to get as low as possible for maximum head pressure, so I will add another 90-degree elbow and then a short length of pipe. This is also a good idea so that the water mainly goes down, and when we turn it on, it doesn't spray all over me instead. In this case, we have about 44 inches, which is a little over 110 centimeters. That gives us around 1.5 psi. Doesn't seem like it'd be that much, but that pressure in combination with the larger pipe and the ball valve should help a lot. I'll reuse the water from the last setup by pumping it back up. And these barrels are also nice with the removable lid because I can get a pump easily into the top if I want to use the water to wash the car, or in this case, move water from one barrel to another barrel that's somewhere else on my property that's a bit higher. So we had 1 minute, 6 seconds to fill the watering can at ground level, about 32 seconds with the store-bought raised up. So let's test ours out.
3, 2, 1, and go. Holy cow. I didn't think it'd be that fast. Three, 2, 1, and go. 2 imperial gallons. 3, 2, 1, and go. 1, 2. Well, I wasn't looking at the clock, somewhere around 4 seconds. And that is pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. Now, of course, if you don't want this to come out that fast, you just open the valve a little bit less. as much or as little as you want, and then you can control it. So I think there are just these 4 keys to getting a really good rain barrel setup that you're going to be extremely happy with, and you're going to be much more likely to use because of how fast it is to fill, how fun it is to use. And even the kids can come out if they can open the valve and play around with it too. It's a lot of fun. So the first thing we did was raise this up, and that is just for being able to access it so that you can put something directly underneath it. You don't have to run a hose from the bottom up and over into something else. We addressed the size of the hole coming from the barrel. Inside that ball valve, it's about 30 millimeters, but the pipe is 1.25 inches on the inside, 32 millimeters on the inside. Definitely way more capacity in this cross section of that pipe than we have just in this 3/8 of an inch here. I've got it way lower than the water level up here. So I have nearly 48 inches, which is going to be close to 2 PSI. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but because we have such a large pipe, 2 PSI does make a big difference. And the last thing that we're going to address, and I'm not doing it yet because I only have the 1 barrel set up, is how they are connected. As soon as the water starts to come in, it's going to try and find its level on all of the barrels at the exact same time. And that way it makes it really easy to fill and really easy to drain as well. So next week we are going to do the final setup. Everything is going to be available to you guys if you want to do your own setup as well. I will give you a total cost breakdown of all of the parts, everything that you're going to need for doing this yourself as well. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. It really helps to support this channel. I also have a short list of links in the video description there below if you want to help support the channel in a different way. Thanks to each of my patrons for helping to make these videos possible, and thank you for watching. I hope to see you on the next one. Well, it's been about 10 minutes of the storm. Let's see how we're doing here. Oh, it's already full. I did not expect that. Holy cow. There you go. Woo. Filled up an entire bucket in what, 7 or 8 seconds? I have this long pipe coming out. It's sending the water out away from the house. So, should be good. Filling up quickly, and it's emptying quickly as well.